Good evening, Stacey. Thank you so much for reaching out to the Scales of Truth for a reading. I'm here with my husband, Cameron.
Hi there.
I always like to bring him into our readings because 2 is better than 1. So you're getting some, double the insight into your year of 2026, which is right around the corner. So with that said, let's get started. We're going to pull 3 different cards, representative of maybe what it is that you can focus on, what you can expect, and just where you're at.
First card is the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords looks like a very formidable card and a negative card, but it comes with a great piece of advice and even a cautionary tale. You can see this figure right here. She's in a lot of despair, and it is not necessarily a despair representative of the scene that's going on, but rather her interpretation of what is to come. And I like to best express this, and I think this is best shown by the fact that she cannot see the ends of these swords. And so this is symbolic to me of the fact that she cannot perceive an end in sight. One of the most important truths of life that we need to know is that everything changes. And even in our most despairing or overwhelming circumstances, there is an end around the corner which will bring forth a reprieve and insight and peace. And so to me, this says that if you're in this state now, or should this overwhelm come to you in the year 2026, to understand that it is temporary. And as we are told in the scriptures, this too shall pass. Do you want to add to that?
Well, that was beautiful. And this may be just a state that your mind has been in or is in currently. And one thing to add too is during the winter months, things are dark and cold, and the holidays can be stressful. Thinking of a new year and in hopeful terms that things just have to get better, they do. And with the swords representative of the mind, we are our own worst enemy in that regard, where our minds may be raptured by conflict. But what this is telling you is that you have the capability to overcome that. Because like Cameron said, there may be no end in sight, but that is a perception. That's not necessarily a reality. Because as we know, there is an ebb and flow to life. And if this is where you are now, that's actually a good thing, because that means you can only go up from here, which means you will eventually come to that end of that sword, that end of what it is that you felt despair over, or maybe just conflicted in one way or another, regardless of what it is that the circumstances surrounding that conflict. And you're going to start to find some solutions and know that you have that power or capability to move past it.
And I'm so glad you emphasized that this is kind of a war of the mind. This is not something you're going to see in your outer environment, which is further expressed by the fact that she's in bed. These are her dreams, her nightmares, her inner world. So with regard to the outer world, I'd like to draw a card for 2026 and see what we find. And it is the card of strength. Zoom in on that a little. This is a strong feminine figure that has been able to tame her environment and create that which many would perceive as adversarial, daunting, or overpowering into a friend and an ally. So I feel like this pairs very well with the card that we just pulled, which is if you are able to create a accurate landscape of your environment and even a positive mental inner world, you're going to be able to have that advantage in life of overcoming odds, so to speak, with that optimism and that wholeness of mind.
Beautiful. And we'll go ahead and draw a third card.
It is the card of the Hangman.
And that's perfect. This is a card that's all about perspective. So it ties in really well with this reading. And would you like to speak more on this one? You say it so beautifully.
Yes. This card often is misunderstood as well because this figure is seen as a sacrificial, offering, so to speak. But what's important to note is that this is a willing choice this person is making. This is a person who sees the gaps in his environment, the things that are necessary in order for there to be wholeness, and they arise to the occasion to fulfill them. They're willing to do that which others are not inclined to do, because most people don't have that inner strength and courage to do so. My wife puts this so beautifully. I forgot how you said it with regards to the spine. Do you remember? I
Yes.
love this analogy. It's so good.
We have been taught that the Kundalini resides in the spine. And if there's one thing that we do as upright people, you know, on our feet all the time, our spines are always compressed. And with the central nervous system aligning with the spine as well, that's something that when it comes to the mind, gets depressed. And so with that, the traction in the depiction of the hanged man, it's a release, it's an opening, it's a regeneration of that Kundalini. And maybe even when your perspective changes, something that you'll feel alignment with for the first time ever. So I see 2026 being a really great year for you in the arena of perception in general, and that you will start to feel a type of freedom as your body and mind align with one another. And as you move through each phase as 2026 comes and goes, that there will be a sense of ease as you see things differently.
I love my wife's analogy of that too. So in other words, my interpretation of this is your decompression, your peace is going to come from actually doing that which seems contrary to decompression with a lot of people. Sometimes the things that bring us down, the things that depress us, are the very things that we need to engage ourselves with. If I can tell a personal story really quick, around 2018, I was going through a time where I was going through I was very down and I was very depressed. And I had a very paradoxical idea. And my idea was I joined a fire station, became a volunteer firefighter, which seems like a daunting thing to do when you're overwhelmed, because there's a lot of scary and kind of sad things that happen within the profession of that realm. But being able to avail myself to other people's sorrow, so to speak, demonstrated to me that I didn't really know what a bad day was. And that counterbalance of seeing other people's lives in disarray provided me a perspective not only of gratitude, but also additional gratitude for being able to be helpful and useful in that scenery. So if you feel overwhelmed going into 2026, I would encourage you to go towards that which feels overwhelming. In other words, if you feel, how do I put this?
Do you mind if I add?
Yes, please.
One of our favorite phrases in our home is walk through the fire.
Yes.
When something feels overwhelming or like we don't want to tackle it, that is the one thing we have to do. And we force ourselves to do it. And in order to do that, it is incredibly uncomfortable. And so if you are up against something that you just want to run away from, you might find that you need to just run right into it. And our minds will always trick us into believing it's going to be worse than it actually is.
Yes, in our house, our last name is Knight, and so we love fairy tales and we love those heroic stories. And one of the symbolic attributes I love about the dragon is dragons have gold. And if you're able to face your dragon, to slay that dragon, you're able to achieve the reward of that adversary, so to speak. Which is a very paradoxical idea these days, but I would encourage you to test that for yourself, because we found in our life that there is a deep truth in that. That which you seek is the least likely place you wish to go. So, or that which you need. So, sorry.
So, and you have strength on your side to do that. So this is a time so that maybe if you've been in like an era of avoidance and you feel that building up of maybe even a bubbling, I've experienced that before, of something that you feel like you might want to take on or that you're unsure of, or something that's been presented to you. Maybe it's an opportunity or a new lifestyle, or you're just kind of on shaky ground. Then whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable, maybe even write down those things and really look at them so that you can just gain some at least make them conscious, is what I'm trying to say. So once they're brought to consciousness, you can take your power and decide how you want to tackle those things one by one, or if they're meant to serve you at all. So using your intuition and that divine strength, I believe that you are going to be able to move into whatever it is coming for you in 2026, that you will be tackling full throttle, but in ways that are wrought with discernment, and a hope that once you're on the other side, that it will be beautiful and serve you quite well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out to us.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Best of luck.